For my presentation, my name is Maddie Christenson, by the way. I will be presenting on Trinidadian calypso music. Okay, so this is the introduction and topics that we will be discussing. The first one is the beginning, so the roots of the calypso music and where it sort of came from and its background. The next thing we will be discussing after that is the island of Trinidad, which is kind of its origins again. After that, we will be discussing Afro-Caribbean music. And then following that, we will be discussing West African traditional music. Followed by that, we will discuss calypso music. And after that, we will discuss the instrumentation used in the Trinidad calypso music. Then after that, we will discuss further in the Trinidad calypso music. And then after that, I'll kind of go over some related genres, and then we'll have a summary. Okay, the beginning, the roots of calypso music. The calypso genre is originally from the island of Trinidad. So the island of Trinidad is one of two islands in its nation, and we'll learn more about that further in the presentation. The next item is this genre is Afro-Caribbean music, and we'll discuss that further as well. The genre calypso has a lot of West African traditional music, so we'll go over West African traditional music. And this genre was originally used as a form of entertainment and also used for communication between slaves on the island of Trinidad. So this is kind of the background of this style or type of music. These are its roots and kind of where it originated from, and now we're going to go further and learn about these different items. Okay, so the island of Trinidad. The island of Trinidad is one of two islands of its nation, and Trinidad is the larger of the two islands. The other island is called Tobago. The island is about 7 miles off the northeast coast of Venezuela, and it's kind of right along the side of South America. The people of this island are very diverse and consist of many different ethnicities, religious beliefs, and they have many different cultural practices. They celebrate all sorts of different holidays, from Christmas to things like Hanukkah. They have Catholic beliefs there, they have Christian beliefs there, they have many different things, and they have many different races as well. But the official language spoken on the island of Trinidad is English. Okay, so Afro-Caribbean music. This has to do with the Trinidad calypso music because it's in its origins, it's in its background, it's kind of what it evolved from and moved past the Afro-Caribbean music and made its own but included it still. So the definition of Afro-Caribbean music is a broad term for music styles originating in the Caribbean from the African diaspora. These types of music usually have West African influences because of the presence of history of African people and their descendants living in the Caribbean as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. So now that we've kind of discussed what Afro-Caribbean music is, we're going to listen to an example so that we can hear it. Here we go. Okay, so in this Afro-Caribbean music, you can really hear the use of percussion. They always have a rhythm going with the drums specifically, and many different kinds of drums, which create this outstanding or noticeable rhythm for their music. So, next we're going to be discussing West African traditional music. Um, like I said before, calypso music has a lot of West African traditional music in it. Um, this is because when they first came to the island, um, they brought slaves over, and it was their form of music that they had from West Africa, where they traditionally came from. So they incorporated that music in the Western calypso. Um, so here we're going to listen to some traditional West African music so we can compare it to calypso music when we listen to it later on in the presentation. So here we go again. Okay, so in this West African traditional music, you can really hear the percussion in this one compared to the last one. The percussion overrides, or you can hear it more than the vocals in it. Where in the last one, they were a little bit more equal. You could still hear the percussion pretty good in the last one, in the Afro Caribbean music. But as you notice in the West African traditional music, you hear the percussion so much more. You hear the tambourine, you hear the drums, and you can really pick them out and the instruments because they kind of override the vocals in this type of music. Okay, so next we're going to discuss calypso music. Um, in the history of Trinidad, it has been ruled not only by the British but also by the French and the Spanish. And this is what makes the music so unique because it doesn't only have aspects of the European folk music from Britain and Spain and France, but it has a very nice rhythm of the traditional West African beat mixed in with it because of the roots and the slaves that came over and used this music and made it up, incorporating it in to what they were learning there and their old roots. Um, so calypso music is very rhythmic with all the percussion it uses, but it also has very soothing melodic sounds, and the combination of the two is what we know as Trinidad calypso music. Okay, instrumentation in calypso music. So, calypso music uses a lot of percussion, all sorts of different kinds, and you'll hear them as you listen to this type of music. Another type or category of instruments that they use is folk instruments. So you'll hear a lot of the guitar and you'll hear a lot of the banjo. And this doesn't mean that other instruments aren't incorporated into the music, but these ones are usually used in all, and they're very bold, and you can tell they kind of set the tone for Trinidad Calypso music. Okay, so this music was developed in the 19th century in the island of Trinidad. Um, it not only is nice to listen to, but it combines many different things. It combines storytelling, humor, social commentary, and singing skills all into one genre of music, and that's what we call Trinidad Calypso music. This is because of its origins. When the slaves came to Trinidad, they weren't allowed to talk to each other. So this was their way of communication. This is the only way they could talk to one another and communicate. They communicated through the songs that they made up. And this is how they spoke to one another. Okay, so now we're just going to listen to an example since we've kind of discussed exactly what Trinidad Calypso music is. So while you're listening, just kind of compare it to the Afro-Caribbean music and also the traditional West African music because you can really hear the percussion in it, but you can also hear other things and you can also pick out how it's a totally different style of music, but it has these things incorporated into it, and it also has lyrics, so you can tell the storytelling and such as. So here we go.
If you want to be happy living a king's life, never make a cruelty woman your wife. If you want to be happy living a king's life, never make a cruelty woman your wife. All you got to do is just what I say, and then you will be jolly, merry, and gay. Therefore, from a logical point of view, always marry a woman uglier than you. A pretty woman makes her husband look small, and very often causes downfall. As soon as she married her, and then she starts to do the things that will make his heart. And when you think that she's belonging to you, she's calling somebody else to do. Therefore, from a logical point of view, always marry a woman uglier than you.
Okay, there is an hour and 17 minutes of this Trinidad Calypso music, so if you would like to continue listening, you can go to the URL that is on this page, and you can finish listening to it. Okay, so just some related genres that I'm just going to tell you about really quick. We have the chutney music, the soca music, and the mento music that kind of they sound similar to the Trinidad Calypso music. Okay, so a summary. We kind of went over the beginning and the roots of Calypso music and where it came from. So we went over the island of Trinidad and how it became and their music. We also went over Afro-Caribbean music because it is pretty close to Trinidad Calypso music. We also went over West African traditional music because some of its roots are from the West African traditional music. We went over calypso music and we listened to some examples. We also went over the instrumentation in this Trinidad Calypso music, and we also went over a few related genres. And thank you for listening.